Welcome to Nostalgia Pilots, a Mobile Fighter G Gundam podcast that can transmit its thoughts even over great distances. I'm Hugh.
I'm Jurd.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Spence.
And we're here to discuss Mobile Fighter G Gundam Episode 24, Bright New Star, The Birth of the God Gundam. This episode's a lot.
It is a lot, and like last episode, I feel like this is where most of the budget went into last episode and this episode. We start off where we ended last episode, with everybody else getting to Neo Hong Kong, and Domon still in Ghana.
Okay, I need to address this. There's a few things that we've already... So, one, Earth remains a beautiful wasteland. This place that they had to abandon is like the most gorgeous place you could possibly ever hope to visit. Every spot they visit on Earth, they're like, this is beautiful. God. Good thing we got off of here to go to the colonies.
They left it slightly on fire at the end of this episode. I do want to say that.
We literally, before you guys got here, we literally were talking about how Earth, for some reason, like Neo Hong Kong, just looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
It is the first major metropolis that we have seen that has that is like not partially destroyed by Gundams.
Yet.
and like the contrast between what Domon is going through and what all the other Gundam pilots are going through are complete opposites. Like Domon's having this life or death fight against his teacher, where his world is coming to an end because he has to basically almost kill his teacher. And everyone else is on the beach looking out over the water. It's a beautiful vista.
And they're literally waiting at the airport to pick someone up.
But they left the same place at the same time, and they arrive in Hong Kong at the same time, and they're all surprised that they're there. They're like, oh, I didn't expect to see you here. Oh, I didn't think you'd make it. What are you talking about? You left the same place at the same time.
And George also had the time to go get the Princess Zeppelin Gundam thing.
Oh my god. That airship is beautiful. That is the kit that I want to build out of this show.
It's fantastic.
If they had a Lego kit for that, that would be the one kit I buy, because I am such a fiend for the ships, and we haven't seen the ship since George was introduced way back in episode 3.
I love that tri-balloon design. Like that's something outside of the Final Fantasy.
It somehow got bigger.
Yeah.
I definitely think it got bigger.
So whatever design money though they put into that airship was not put into the hover car, which also has wheel wells. I don't know if you guys noticed that. They built a hover car.
Oh, it's because it's an all-terrain air vehicle. Like, it prefers to be in the air, but if it has to do terrain, it does have wheels that will pop down.
It said, I can do Blade Runner just as good as Blade Runner.
So, yes, to your point earlier, though, this is like a half and half episode. So half the episode feels almost like a Dragon Ball Z episode where they're talking about Goku showing up the entire time. I wonder if he's going to make it. Is he going to make it on time? I don't know. Is he going to make it? And then the other half is Domon dealing with okay, so one part feels really like tropey and just kind of standard. But the way they've structured the other half actually surprised me a little bit. I was happy to see the order change. Like, yes, the outcome, which is that we have a new model kit to buy, was exactly like predicted. We all knew he was going to lose the old Gundam and have to enter the new Gundam. But I liked the way they made that transition. It wasn't just the way I expected, which was he gets his butt kicked in a fight really bad, and then he has to, which, a little bit of that does happen. But he also has, so there's a moment where, okay, the God Gundam lands, but it lands a little funky so that we get this weird slow reveal where the lotus petals are only cracked and we can kind of see its face. All of that's quite nice. And then Master Asia won't give up. He's a mean machine. He starts chasing Domon, who is now hopped out of his Gundam. He's hopped out of the Shining Finger or whatever, and he's chasing down he's trying to get into the other suit, and he's pre-programmed his Gundam to leap up to, like, Clint Eastwood in the line of fire, a fired missile fist, which, a sweet move. I guess you could have used that earlier, towards Domon, but anyway. So yes, the suit does get
and
trashed.
not only that, but when that missile fists the shining Gundam, the oil coming out looks like blood. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah,
guys. Listen, Gona Guy told us it's called a rocket punch, guys. Listen, we're gonna touch on Gona Guy on this show because Gona Guy and his Getter Robo franchise is excellent manga. Oh, it's so good. But no, you're right. Like, this is that moment. It's just like in Gundam Wing where we had what was it? We had Duo and Wu Fei in the prison being guarded by Troa, and they were watching, and he passed off the little microfilm projector where they got to read and look at the blueprints of their new Gundams. And it was literally halfway through the show. And what do we have here? At episode 24, the birth of the new model kit. And it has, when you have a functioning robot, you can't pass on to the new one until it's destroyed. So it got a symbolic death, so to speak. And it even got the, like, crawling over to my, master or whatnot as I pass on last vital information and go, and pass on into the void of robots. And even gets, spirit, like, picked up and carried like a wounded comrade by the guy.
Yeah, it was like very much like the death of Supergirl.
Well, yeah, it was okay. No, you can't have the God Gundam and the Devil Gundam and just throw Michelangelo's Pieta or whatever at me in the middle of this thing. Like, that is what that was. It was Mary holding Christ's form, but Gundams. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here because I just want to talk about the Gundam slaps. So there's a sequence before he has to abandon ship in which Master Asia manages to get a hold of Doman's mech, and he just starts slapping him. Like, coming at me like my mom with a wooden spoon. Like, oh my god, that whole sequence was hilarious. And then he answers back with a punch storm, and it's just, there are some animation sequences in this that are begging to be put into a GIF. I was looking for my tools, I just did not find them.
Yeah, I need the Domon getting slapped GIF, like, as soon as possible, please, and thank you. But also the thing with Master Asia, I'll say it again, I said it last episode, he didn't want his students to surpass him, which means he is not a true master.
All I could hear was the South Park episode where Timmy and Jimmy get into a fight, and you just hear, cripple fight, and they're just, like, slapping each other. That's all I could think of for the scene with these two. I'm like, you're both martial artists. You're both Gundam pilots. Do better. Like, do better. Like,
yeah. Well, actually, speaking of doing better, though, I do want to point out, so Doman manages to crawl out of his suit, flop into the God Gundam, and I mean literally flop. The most graceless entrance I have ever seen. He's like a kid going into a pool.
It's perfect because he's exhausted. He's been fighting the whole time. And so he's like, oh, am I safe yet? No.
And he thinks he thought he was, but then we find out that Rey needs to become a magical girl first, which was fantastic.
But now remember, guys, all the listeners out there, during this knockdown, drag-out, they live alleyway fight scene between Master Asia and Domon, the other Shuffle Alliance members, and Rain, and Argo's crew, and the monks, even the Neo Japan folks, including Rain, are hanging out on the beach, looking out over the lake at this beautiful scenery. Like, if Chibity had pulled out like a martini or a beer and just propped his feet up talking to his girls, I wouldn't have batted an eyelash. Like, they're having a great day. Like,
yeah.
While Domon is literally having to fight for his life.
And they're like, is your tattoo itching? My tattoo itches. Do you think it's still in danger?
I think they said it hurts a lot, is what I remember them saying.
And Chibity's girls are like, you're supposed to put that O2 Ocean spray on it, and you're not supposed to scratch it. You don't want the colors to fade.
So it's actually.
Also, who let a 12-year-old get a tattoo? Let's talk about that. No.
Yeah.
His stepdads aren't the best. We've said it before.
So it's not the tattoos, though. What exactly is it that finally sparks them to slap the headset on Rain?
It's when they pull out her dad shows up and pulls out their laptop, or he actually sets up like a laptop in the limo with Rain to show that the diagnostic on the Shining Gundam has shown that it's been mortally.
Yeah,
They sort of say, like, well, he's activated the God Gundam, but it's not moving. Oh, we have to do basic programming in it. But restore the backup.
Do it from here. So, Rain.
It's like when you buy a new phone and you immediately have to get an update.
Yeah. Rain, back up the hard drive on the new Gundam with your feelings.
So Rain gets a fancy helmet with "I love the little Gundam" antenna.
Yeah, it's like a little tiara.
Look,
fantastic.
It is the control module for the Sailor Moon Prism Compact Gundam robot head. It's like, it is so Sailor Moon.
Not only that, she begins to glow. They're like, oh, it's beginning to function. She's now become a light bulb.
And listen, I'm just going to tell you and Nick now, this is not the most Sailor Moon this show gets.
Yay!
It is literally...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I think we're going to get Allenby next episode.
Yes!
I don't remember, but she's showing up soon.
There were some hints at the end of this episode of implications that I want to get to because, anyway.
Oh no, I just want to talk about one more thing, and then we'll get to, I'm sure, what we all have decided is your favorite part here.
But
I just,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was say I just need everyone to acknowledge that the fact that Neo Japan made telepathy. They made telepathy real.
I did try to unplug a little bit from it because I don't want to overthink it, but I was like, so you've got headsets that basically have instantaneous communication over any amount of distance, but you're still going to climb into these giant robots to fight? Or maybe you could just do it remotely. I don't know.
Listen, Gigantor had it right. That kid piloted Gigantor from a briefcase remote. It was basically an RC car. But these guys have to get inside.
So Rain goes full magical girl. She begins to glow. She uses her telepathic abilities to begin piloting the Shining Gundam. She crawls towards Doman and his God Gundam that's not yet mobile. And then there's a sequence in which two Gundams appear to almost kiss.
Well, okay, we did kind of skip over that Rain had to get into Domon's emotions and find out what holds dear. And so she has this vision of, of all the other people in the Shuffle Alliance and Master Asia and her brother, and then, but that's me. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah,
like he knows you exist. Are you surprised by this?
So when they're crawling towards each other, she's like, I never was able to tell you, Rain. And then like you can't see the video on the podcast, but like I'm doing the actions. Just imagine. And so their mask faces, their giant metal faces get so close, but then they grab each other's hands because this is Japan and they can't show affection like that. So they grab each other's hand and then transfer everything over to the new burning Gundam. Okay.
And also we hear the Price is Right boom, 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 from Rain's ex-boyfriend still recovering in the hospital, knowing his chances for her have now been kaput.
Yeah, so he does come striding out holding the other suit. Again, why? I don't know. It looks awesome. I'm not going to whatever, but
the
no
art
sense.
Art is fantastic. The art is absolutely, like, they murdered a few animators to draw this. It was really, really great animation. But there was no point. It's just a robot Domon. It wasn't really Rain.
But there is one thing I want to mention with the Master Asia fight, is that there is some extreme, like, strobing lightning in that scene.
Oh,
like,
we're Master
It's like,
Asia.
this was definitely made, like, before the Pokemon epilepsy event.
Issue.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how does everybody feel? I know that we're all kind of pro the way they sometimes sub in the fighter for the actual Gundam, but how did you feel about all of the sequences in which just their faces were transposed onto the Gundam so they looked kind of like samurai?
Well, it's happened before. It's happened before.
There was one sequence especially where Master Asia was just his face on the Gundam, and it looked goofy.
I thought it was hilarious, and I was like, yeah, that's how he sees himself.
Yeah.
That's how he sees himself.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I mean, he does then proceed to electrocute Domon with his machismo. So, I mean, let's be honest. And he says he's going to use the last of his strength to do a quick quick regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just looks like he's doing an aggressive pelvic thrust. Like, and he's in it, like, come on, like, it is all of the things we love about ridiculous anime moments in mech and or shonen shows encapsulated into everything. Like, it's dad fiction. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like he's the Liam Neeson taken to Domon's John Wick. Like it is amazing and crazy at the same time. And I'm just gonna spoil it here. Because we see the end of this fight when he's carrying out the dead Jesus Christ Shining Gundam. And he tells Master Asia to stay down. And he then face palms him into the dirt and then proceeds to Gundam jetpack fart all over him that makes him explode. And I was like, Jesus.
And that's how Doma gets into space.
But I will turn this over to Jurd because we all figured this is your favorite part.
I'm honestly at a loss for what you guys think is it the giant Gundam with the time runs?
Off the top rope, that is a laser.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. No, absolutely correct. Yes. Sorry. That sequence is so, yes. He's got to get there. He's got to get there somehow. So why not use the old Star Trek, I guess, whip around move, except you got to use those laser buckles eventually, right?
He's off the turnbuckle with the Japanese people's elbow.
Oh, man. Sorry. There was so much going on in that final sequence with them coming back to that timer, and I just could not get my brain around the fact that they had an entire Gundam suit that just had a watch chest. Like, if Earth is an apocalyptic wasteland, maybe they want to consider the resource redistribution, because I'm not sure that they're finding the right way to move forward here.
One, I guarantee that they are selling that Gundam watch. Like,
somebody has that.
You could have that on your nightstand for 1,000 yen, no question.
Absolutely. Some kid's alarm clock is that good.
But second of all, the thing with Hong Kong is that Neo Hong Kong won the last Gundam fight because Master Asia has won like the last 3 Gundam fights.
Right.
So so that gives them control of all the resources. So Neo Hong Kong is nice, and everyone else is crap because they're just hoarding all that wealth.
Oh, that actually makes so much more sense to me now. I mean, other than the fact that I guess I was a little confused because they left Guyana and it looked beautiful. So whatever, but
that's the reason that everyone wants to win the Gundam fight, because like basically there's one city that has all of the space resources and can tell everyone else what to do.
Okay. And I mean, something actually, well, we're speaking on the fight aspect, something we haven't really discussed yet is that every time we see Hong Kong, or not every time, but there's a sequence of shots in which we're seeing like the guy with the chariot Gundam and like the weird bull Gundam. Like we're seeing the various other secondary characters that have been previously established, at least in background shots, or if not in a direct fight.
Did we see the windmill Gundam?
We see it flying in the second, using its its windmill blade as like a ass propeller.
So not only that, though,
the windmill still makes me so angry. Not as angry as the rusty sword, but it makes me angry.
So we have this cast sort of established, but then we also get, because as Dolan's coming in, we find that there are 4 mysterious signatures or whatever they call it chasing him, and it's clear that they're other Gundam suits. Like you get a little bounce, and here's where the thing that I thought was a bit of a teaser for what's coming up, because we get not 1 but 2 Gundam horses in this episode. We get the chariot guy. And then there's a brief flash of what I assume is Master Asia's horse Gundam situation.
Yes.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah. So we do see that part at the end where Domon is bullied by a horse.
But that chariot Gundam is actually the Greek Gundam. It's the Greece Gundam, if I'm not mistaken. Or Zeus Gundam.
It's Neo Greece's Zeus Gundam.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
It just, I don't know. Anyway, when I see it in action, maybe I'll be more impressed. But I just feel like you're going to need a lot of run up for that thing to be useful.
Did you ever see the Hunger Games where Katniss Everdeen's character and Pita Bread ride out in the chariot and she does the whole flaming thing behind them or whatever with the dresses and outfits?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Imagine that as a giant robot. And its legs are the chariot.
Oh yeah, I mean, as long as they're like, anyway, I'll have to see the fight sequences. Is the arena? Are they fighting in the city?
There are some wacky designs for these other Gundams we haven't seen yet, but we're gonna see that there's like 4 bad guy robots who are like specifically bad guy robots for the second half.
That's kind of what I thought, and I was surprised. I think I even mentioned this in a previous episode. I was surprised that we didn't have a set-up counterpart to the Shuffle Alliance, like some other bad team that was more well-established. And I know we've had the Devil Gundam and then sort of Master Asia as like a little mini-team, but I thought we would get sort of, the alter egos or whatever, and now it feels like they're establishing that. It's kind of interesting.
And at least a few of those guys we've seen before.
Okay.
So a few of those bad guys who are the fireballs will come back, or are people coming back who have been bad guys in the previous episodes.
So what you're saying is you've been expecting the Power Rangers answer of Psycho Rangers for the Gundams. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, of course, Doman does make it in time, but there was a little whole sequence here where Rain opens her hands, like her arms, like she wants a hug, and I was like, she's gonna get smushed. Like she's trying to hug a Gundam coming in at high speed. This is not going to end well.
Was it only me, or did I get the kill me hero? Was it only me?
Well,
yeah, that was you.
It's funny you mentioned that because so one. Doman shows a little bit of character development, and then he gets down and he actually says sorry for things, and like they have a nice little moment. But I thought, what? He's not going to offer her a gun? Like, was this an apology, or what are we talking about?
Not a real apology unless you offered to let her kill you.
She does the classic upset girlfriend thing where she's like, "How dare you make me worry about you so much?" Beating on his chest, and he puts his hands on his shoulders. And I'm like, give the woman a hug, God damn it! She has been through a lot because of you.
Yeah,
that was the most broski thing he could have ever done. Like the only thing that could have been worse is if he gave her like the side church hug, where it wasn't a full hug. He just coming in from the side.
Hey, look, he's made a lot of strides today. Let's not push him too far.
Yeah.
Oh man, like he shows more emotion with the Shuffle Alliance than he does Rain. Like they're like giving him crap about nearly missing the timer. Like Sasashi's elbowing him in the ribs and Domon's stuff.
No, he's not elbowing him in the ribs. He's elbowing him in the junk. Like I had to pause it to be like, did I hear that? And I went back a few seconds. Yeah, Saisaiji is elbowing him right in the ship and then in the junk, and that time doubles over a little bit.
Oh man,
they use that kid. They use that kid to sneak in the worst parts of the show. Like, if there's going to be a boob shot or a shot to the junk, it's going to be him.
But hey, as a little brother, all I can say is they don't depict him wrong. Like,
yeah, agreed.
They're not depicting him wrong.
Agreed.
Oh man, this was a delightful episode. It had enough ridiculousness and over-the-top action and melodrama that if they had said this was actually adapted from a K-drama, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, oh absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I'm pretty sure that most of the voice actors are K-pop members. It's fine. But
yeah, I did like this episode because it is the finale of the episode or of the previous arc where we do see like that one shot of the beginning of Schwartz watching the Devil Gundam like fall into the lava, and Domon's like, "Father, I have won."
Also,
and then it also
Jurd,
builds up the whole second half.
I think this episode was made specifically for Jurd because not only do we get the turnbuckle move, but we also get Mr. One-Eyed Announcer Man to close out the show.
Yeah, well, this is okay. So to Hugh's point, the things that are delivered here really feel like the turn on the two seasons, right? Like everything that we've kind of we round off everything that's happened before, and with the announcer at the start, and then he like sets up kind of the second part in the back end. So yeah, no, absolutely, I feel like this is the hinge upon which. I mean, I kind of have this subtle fear that the next season is just going to be like, just a series of tournaments essentially for fighting, and it's going to be a little lost, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we do settle back into a lot of Villain of the Week episodes as they go through rounds on the tournament and who's fighting who. But I think we get like a lot more variation in the suit ideas. Like the suits get very much more creative and more at times ridiculous.
At times?
I'm just thinking about the Bell Gundam.
What about the Sombrero Gundam?
He doesn't show back up, but there's a bunch.
It's called the Tequila Gundam. Right?
Yeah, the Tequila Gundam. But there's a bunch
so
of
much
like,
better.
fun Gundams in the back half. There's a bunch of like ridiculous martial artists that we still get introduced to, and then there is the like overarching back half of the show subplot with those other four guys and a bunch of skullduggery.
Yeah, it's like as melodramatic as Gundam Wing got with like the Zero System and child soldiers, PTSD and antique guns forgetting how to kill.
Mm-hmm.
We get machismo turned to 11 with the rest of this show. Like if they wanted to include girls with Gundam Wing because they wanted pretty boys and they wanted to sell model kits to girls and boys, this latter half of the show throws all of that out of the window. And it's like we're just getting Fist of the North Star with robots. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a section coming up that is awesome and amazing. It's one of my favorite things to ever happen for Gundam. But this is just over the top, ridiculous. Let's sell toys, and it's because it's so unapologetic, it's great, right? Like they're not trying to hide the fact that like no, we're trying to sell you these toys. Like it's literally like Transformers killing off Optimus Prime. Spoiler alert for the 1986 Transformers movie. But they kill Optimus Prime so they can sell more toys, and parents lose their mind about it. It's a great phenomenon in pop culture. But with this, it's just Bandai or Sunrise just doesn't care anymore. At least with Gundam Wing, they're like, no. Like, the robots got destroyed. We don't know what's going to happen to our heroes. But hey, here's some cool new stuff. No. G Gundam's like, no, guys. New toys. Take all these toys. Aren't they cool? Monster of the week, new toys. Let's go. And I'm okay with it because they're unapologetic about it. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they actually literally tried to sell a toy of the Jester Gundam. I'm like, that's the thing you tried to do.
I would buy the Shuffle Alliance. I'd buy all of this. If I could buy all of the Shuffle Alliance and the secondary versions of the main cast, I'd buy those.
I would buy the stickers of them.
Oh,
Fair. Fair.
Nix, I know for a fact that there is a Gundam in this show you would buy, but we haven't got there yet. When we do, I know which one you will. Because I know your love of magical girls.
Yes. So are we at our favorite parts then?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to say the turnbuckle, definitely the turnbuckle, but I also want to put in a good word for the slap sequence, because we need to put in a good word for the slap sequence. So that was definitely
Absolutely. I think mine is the hand through the Shining Gundam, and just the details of that whole sequence were just really visceral and beautiful, and I loved it.
Banks, how about you?
Oh, for me, it's absolutely the God Gundam farting all over Master Asia as it rockets to the turnbuckle. Because if they didn't want me to pay attention to it, they wouldn't have given such animation quality to not only the motion of the Gundam flowing over top of Master Asia, but also the rippling and the flowing of the flames as it hits the ground, hits all of him. They murdered animators to animate this scene. We make the joke all the time. We make the joke all the time on the Ghibli cast with Nutty and Tech over at nimlast.org about how Studio Ghibli murders animators to make things happen. G Gundam borrowed some of them to murder them in this scene because it's one of the best animated scenes in the show as Gundam flies off to give a continent the people's elbow.
And I'm gonna say that my favorite part is going to be them just kind of casually testing out the headset that gives you psychic powers.
I
have to use to reboot the Gundam.
Again, I don't want to second guess the show and spend too much time overthinking it, but maybe this device would have been useful at any point previous in anything that happened. I mean, I'm just saying.
They even do say that, it's still experimental. But yeah, the whole thing about Gundam is that, or the whole thing about real robots in general is that they are highly impractical. They try and say that, this is a real war, this is how these real machines operate, it's in space, it's fine. But no, the thing that's great about giant robots is giant robots are as impractical as hell. And that's why they're awesome.
I just hope we get a space sequence before the end of the show that involves at least one horse Gundam. Because nothing screams awesome and impractical to me as having a horse robot in space.
Well, you were going to get your wish.
Oh, thank God. Thank God, Gundam.
Listen, if you can think of the most outlandish things to possibly happen with giant robots, most of those happen in G Gundam.
I almost watched two Gundams make out this episode, so my mind is open to whatever might come down the road.
Listen, G Gundam isn't considered the worst of the Gundam series. But it's on the low side, and I feel like it's unjustified.
The thing about G Gundam is G Gundam doesn't fit the rest of the Gundam series aesthetics of being real robots. It's a conscious push towards doing a super robot show with Gundams.
Yeah, and
so it doesn't sort of fit the mold of something like the original Mobile Suit Gundam, or like Gundam Unicorn, or Gundam Seed. Or even Gundam Wing. But it's doing its own thing, and it does it to the hilt. The thing about G Gundam is we can't accuse it of going small.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we're gonna get at either Gundam Reconquista and G or Turn A Gundam, but those two, like fan wise and critic wise, are probably the two worst of all Gundam series. But
okay, so just out of the noob question, here's my noob question time. If those are considered the worst, what is critically considered essentially the best?
Char's counterattack. Like, people love the edited movies, like the 3 movies that represent the original series.
Yep.
But when people talk about like peak Gundam, usually it's either Char's counterattack or those few people who in America who've watched it, Zeta Gundam. I own Zeta Gundam, I own Double Zeta, I own Gundam Seed Destiny and Gundam Seed. I own all of G Gundam, and I own 8th MS Team and Stardust Memory. And honestly, if I would have to pick me personally, I would have to say it's probably a toss-up between Char's counterattack and Zeta. Zeta Gundam does the whole child soldiers really, really well. And what happens with that, it even ties in characters from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. And Char's counterattack has probably the most iconic villain in Mobile Suit Gundam history, with Char. Like, Char Aznable is literally one of the best villains to be pinned, and he's one of the reasons why the original Mobile Suit Gundam is good.
Yeah, I think that more than even Amuro in a lot of ways, the journey from Gundam to Char's counterattack is, like, through Zeta and Double Zeta, is all about Char. Like, it's Char's story almost more than it's Amuro's story.
I mean, even in Zeta, when Amuro does show up, a little bit of spoilers for Zeta, he mentions that he ends up having to kill his best friend. Like, he talks about that and deals with that and helps the current Gundam pilots with that whole issue. And I think when you encapsulate Gundam, when it talks about child soldiers and war and how people are, what happens to soldiers after the war is over and they come home, like, you don't get a better version of that outside of either Char's counterattack or Zeta. They just hit that on the head. Iron Blood Orphans did a floor routine that was amazing, but it did not stick the landing.
Like, I think the thing with Iron Blood Orphans is that I think it goes a little too hard into these are child soldiers and child soldiers are terrible, which, I mean, is true,